live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. Welcome on in to what is a Friday edition of the Zach Gelb Show. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Or you can find me on TikTok, at the Zach Gelb Show. If you're consuming us live on YouTube right now, please subscribe to our 365 Sports YouTube page if you haven't already. And if you're consuming us after we are live, all you need to do is this. It's very simple, folks. YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. And just press that subscribe button. Subscribe. Andrew Valade and also Garrett Ross are back at our Waco studios, and we will take you all the way up till about 4 p.m. Eastern time today, 3 p.m. Central time, as the Zach Gelb Show is live weekdays on 365 Sports from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central. Coming up today at about 2:45-ish here on the East Coast, Brian Mitchell, the legendary punt returner, kick returner, former All-Pro kick returner, for the Commanders. It's always, Garrett, this is a weird situation, I will say. Because when he played, there was no Washington football team. There was no Commanders. It was the Redskins. And, I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but they're no longer the Redskins. You're you're still a fan of the Commanders, but I'm sure you do have Redskins gear. What happens? Can I say Brian Mitchell, the former Redskins, or will then people just think I'm racist?
Probably. There's always going to be the crowd that's going to come in and say you're racist. I would say if you want to be politically correct, or however we're doing this, former Washington kick returner, I guess would be the safe way to do it.
Yeah.
I guess that's how I've kind of had to train myself as a fan to not piss somebody off.
Because because here's the thing. If I say he's a former Commander, well, technically he never played
for
the Commanders.
Exactly.
So that's why I go to you. You are like the jelly to my peanut butter right now, even though I don't like jelly.
I hate jelly. It's the worst.
Oh, wow. You know what?
What do you eat with your peanut butter?
Just peanut butter.
I eat syrup.
Syrup?
Yes. I'll eat syrup on it.
So, let's say you're definitely not a whole wheat bread guy. You're a white bread guy, I could tell.
Now I'm offended.
Why? Do you use whole wheat?
No, I eat whatever.
Okay. So let's say Garrett Ross is making what would be a traditional peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Mm-hmm. You just put white bread, peanut butter, and then syrup?
Yeah. Get the little sweet, kind of got somewhat of the texture of the jelly, but I'm not doing that jelly.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I just never liked jelly. And it's funny, my buddy who I met last year when I was at the Canelo Crawford fight, broadcasting there when Netflix had us all out there, Zach from the Makeshift Project, who does a great job, a great social media presence. They were interviewing John Taffer. Are you a fan of John Taffer?
I'm not.
Bar Rescue?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I'm not a big TV. I don't watch a lot of TV, bro. I don't.
But that's, John, I feel like that's just the difference of me being a loud, bloviating East Coast jackass, and then you just being, I wouldn't call you a sweet Texas guy because, I've heard your mouth. I've seen you curse and freak out. You do have some East Coast flair, East Coast swag, just a little inty, teeny bit of East Coast swag. There's no doubt about it. John Taffer, I don't even know where he's from, but John Taffer is this renowned food critic, restaurant connoisseur, and he goes into these dumps on TV, and in a week or 48 hours, he gets the staff all squared away, fires who he needs to, and then they give the bar basically a facelift, and he saves these businesses. I love Taffer, and I'm loud, he's loud, we both could yell. So when I was in college once, it was the easiest Halloween costume ever. And my friends loved it. I don't know if anyone else got it, but I dressed up as John Taffer and I just yelled at people. He's like, "We got to shut it down. We're going in. We're going in. Are you an idiot?" And all he does is just wear a sports coat and like a T-shirt with jeans.
Right.
But he was doing this interview with the Makeshift Project last night, and one of the hosts, Zach, it came up that he doesn't like jelly at all. And I don't like jelly either. And how about that? Now, you don't like jelly either. But you go syrup.
Yeah.
Man.
I know. It's a little weird.
No, it's probably sweet. It probably tastes good. I'm just concerned about your arteries.
Balance. Well, I don't do it a lot. Like, I'm not a big – I don't eat – I probably have peanut butter sandwiches about maybe once a year. I'm not big on it, but if I do, I got to balance it with some syrup.
Well, when I was a kid, I did not like cold cuts as a kid. Now I love cold cuts.
Right.
But as a kid, I don't like turkey. I still hate turkey. Mm-hmm. But like just because probably the first cold cut I had was turkey and I didn't like it, in my mind as a kid, whenever it was deli meats, I was like, no, thank you. Now you put some deli meats in front of me, I'm like Tony Soprano in front of the fridge. It's I'm eating all those deli meats. There's no doubt about that. So my mom would send me to school with, I like peanut butter, no jelly. So she would send me to school with a brown paper bag each and every day with a peanut butter sandwich in it. And it wasn't really until high school I ever really ate the school lunches. Yeah. Because my mom was like a little bit of a health nut. And my mom did not like the school lunches that they served. So it wasn't until high school where you get like a few extra dollars. You're doing. I was a cook at Five Guys. I flipped the burgers for about like, I don't know, 7 or 8 months. I spilled the grease trap on my first day. Ooh. And they were like, you could never. It was great. I got to work the grill and never have to clean the grease trap.
There you go.
So it was spectacular. Yeah, no, I did win. Some say it was intentional. So I always went to school with peanut butter sandwiches with no jelly on it. So that's it's just funny when you watch something last night. Yeah. And I like that I see a lot of their TikTok and Instagram clips, but I love John Taffer, and I saw they had him on, so I watched the entire thing. And Zach and I, it's funny, we had the same name, and we have a lot of similar takes. Like there was 3 or 4 just takes on life and food that was going on through this episode, and I'm watching it and I go, this is just bizarre. And this guy, Zach, texts me, he's like, we are really more alike than I would think. And we were going through all the different stuff. We were talking about pizza, like his place in New Haven, Connecticut. A lot of people go to Sally's. A lot of people will go to different Pepe's. I'm like, oh, I love Modern, like because it's easier to get in and you could sit down. And he goes, nope, Modern's my favorite as well. So we were really man's vibing last night over the content that he put out. And we're both Mets fans that get absolutely tortured by the team. So who would have thought the first 8 minutes of this show today, folks? This is why you watch 365 Sports. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained, folks? The reason why you watch 365 Sports, we're not giving you that bullcrap Big 12 talk. We're not giving you that bullshit. Oh, ooh, yeah, I said it. I could say it. It's not radio. Big 10 talk, SEC football, but breaking down the combine and all this stuff. Like, we'll get all to that stuff. But you tune into this show to get peanut butter without jelly takes. That's what it is. That's why you watch us right here on 365 Sports. Once again, folks, youtube.com/@365SportsYT. Subscribe. That's what you need to do. You hear the clicking in the background from Waco, Texas. Those are the people that are just subscribing as we are here on a Friday. All right, Garrett, let's push aside all the stuff that's going on in the Garrett Ross, Zach Gelb food world right now. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo. But before we talk about the Cleveland Browns, I told you Brian Mitchell is going to join us around 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time-ish. We will preview the Commanders offseason. Also, how about this treat today? You think peanut butter with maple syrup or peanut butter without jelly is a treat, or however you consume your peanut butter sandwich? The captain of the 1980 Miracle on Ice, the USA men's gold medal-winning hockey team, Mike Eruzione. Rizzo. He's going to join us today at about 3:35, 3:40 p.m. Eastern time-ish. So you're not going to want to miss that conversation with Mike Eruzione. Can't wait to have him back on the show. It's been a while since I talked to Rizzo, but it's the perfect time, and he's going to give us about like 10 minutes or so today on the show. So I just set the table for everybody, and there may be some controversial food items on the table. But with that being said, we get into the show today, and we have to really start the show talking about the Cleveland Browns. So we'll have a poll question up there. The poll question is going to be, who should be the Week 1 starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Should it be Shedeur Sanders? Should it be Deshaun Watson? And we're going to add in 2 names to the conversation. One of the names will be Malik Willis. The other name will be Anthony Richardson, because we had Zach Jackson on yesterday. He does a great job covering the Cleveland Browns and the NFL for The Athletic. And Zach threw out Malik Willis. He threw out Anthony Richardson as 2 potential names that could be added to the quarterback room that is currently consisted of Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, and Dylan Gabriel. But there's going to be a quarterback competition. Gabriel's not really going to have a seat at the table. It's going to be between Deshaun Watson and it's going to be between Shedeur Sanders. And then I do believe somebody not named Dylan Gabriel will also be thrown into the conversation. But let's take a flashback to last year with the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski was their old head football coach. Now Todd Monken is new head football coach of the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski was on with Pardon My Take, and he was talking about his relationship with Shedeur Sanders, because a lot of people believe, if you just read and see things on the internet, that Kevin Stefanski wanted no part of Shedeur Sanders. Kevin Stefanski wasn't a fan of Shedeur Sanders. This is how Kevin Stefanski did speak, the new head football coach of the Atlanta Falcons, on Shedeur Sanders when he was on with Pardon My Take yesterday.
So you didn't mention how you would intentionally let Shedeur get sacked this preseason because you didn't want him to start. What was up with that? Why'd you do that?
I will say this. I love Shedeur. I loved coaching him. Seriously. He's got the right makeup for this game. He was wired the right way. I wish that we won more, obviously, but if you saw how he played down the stretch, I mean, he's a young player that's getting better. I'm not coaching him anymore, so I know I have to be careful about talking about other players, but I am rooting for him.
So there you go. Kevin Stefanski, whether you believe that or not, he is rooting for Shedeur Sanders. I think the criticism of Stefanski last year was a little bit of baloney, since we're on the deli meat conversation today. That was pun intended. Like, I don't think the Browns intended for Shedeur to be in their room when they had the draft. If that was the case, they wouldn't have taken Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. And they had Joe Flacco, right? They had Kenny Pickett before they traded him to the Raiders. I don't believe when they drafted Dylan Gabriel that Andrew Berry and also Kevin Stefanski thought that Shedeur Sanders is going to be, A, available in the 5th round, and B, that the Browns are going to take him. Now, I'm of the belief, and I will stand by this, this has been denied to me over and over and over again. Nathan Zagor does a great job for the Cleveland Browns. He is their color analyst. I have said to him before, I think Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, forced Andrew Berry and forced Kevin Stefanski to draft Shedeur Sanders last year. That has been denied by Nathan Zagora. He told me I am flat out wrong. I just still believe it. That's what I believe. Now, who survives here? Stefanski's out. He's in Atlanta, and I think it's better to be in Atlanta right now than it's better to be in Cleveland. And Andrew Berry is there. Andrew Berry, I think, will definitely get another season. Even if the Browns are god-awful this year, with the capital that he has, I do believe, and I know they have two picks this year in the 1st round, and they have 1 next year. But I think that Jimmy Haslam, whether you believe it or not, he's believing in the Andrew Berry plan. And even though I don't know what the concepts of that plan are, from afar, I will say this. I believe Shedeur Sanders is going to be the Week 1 starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. If he's not, it could expedite the timeline, and Andrew Berry could be out of a job sooner rather than later. Because if Shedeur is the Week 1 starting quarterback, this is how I interpret it. Shedeur Sanders, this is your moment. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. If you sink, then Andrew Berry will take a quarterback in the 1st round next year, and that will be the last quarterback he gets to choose. However, if you swim, you get to use these 2 first-round draft picks, obviously, on other positions, and then you have a first-round draft pick next year. You are accumulating resources and young pieces via the draft. And the Browns had a good draft last year. So if Shedeur hits, you hit on a 5th-round quarterback, and he's still on a rookie contract, you could allocate those resources in other positions outside of the quarterback, and you rolled the dice, and you got lucky hitting on a quarterback in the 5th round that should have been picked before the 5th round anyway. So as long as Shedeur is the week 1 starting quarterback, or I could even say with the caveat, I don't believe Deshaun Watson's going to be the week 1 starting quarterback. But if you have Shedeur or Deshaun Watson as the week 1 starting quarterback, this is how I would interpret it. Shedeur and Deshaun, whoever it is, and I think it would be Shedeur who win that competition, they're the guy to start. They'll either sink or swim. If they swim, you found your guy. If they sink, then you're taking your quarterback in the 1st round next year. However, if the Browns go outside the organization, if they go sign Malik Willis to a $30 million a year contract and Malik Willis stinks this year, then I don't understand how you justify bringing Andrew Berry back. And that's why my antenna's up when Zach Jackson was on with us yesterday, and we'll play some of the audio in just a bit. And he's talking about how he could see the Browns giving Malik Willis $30 million a year. Like, if you bring in Anthony Richardson, it's extremely low risk for what I don't believe will be a high reward, but you could sell it as low risk for high reward. Because if you trade for Anthony Richardson, what is it going to cost you? A 6th-round draft pick? I don't believe there's going to be a big market for Anthony Richardson. Maybe the richest price tag for Anthony Richardson via trade is going to be a 4th-round pick, maybe at best. So if you're giving up very little capital there, that's not you putting your flag into the ground for future years. You go give Malik Willis like a 3 or 4 year contract at $30 million a year. That's the guy that you're saying is our guy. It's not Shedeur then. It's not Deshaun Watson. It's not Anthony Richardson. If you give a quarterback $30 million a year, he's going to be your week 1 starting quarterback. And if that quarterback is bad next year, if that quarterback is the quarterback of a 4 or 5 win football team and the quarterback is dog crap and you gave him that money, then Jimmy Haslam's going to go back and say, hey, I'm going to fire you, Andrew Berry. So I do believe it behooves Andrew Berry to really do nothing this offseason. And I think it behooves Andrew Berry, and what I mean by do nothing this offseason, nothing drastic at the quarterback position. I really think if the Browns give Malik Willis $30 million a year, it would be a mistake. Ride it out with Shedeur this year. See what Shedeur does. If Shedeur plays well, you have a quarterback that you found in the 5th round going into year 3 next year. If he sinks, then you're probably picking in the top 5 in what is perceived to be a deeper quarterback draft class next year. And then Andrew Berry takes his quarterback, and then that's the last quarterback that he'll ever select with the Cleveland Browns. And if that quarterback does well, then Andrew Berry will keep his job. If that quarterback fails, well, he'll just join a long line of quarterbacks in Cleveland that has failed. And obviously the general manager would join a long line of general managers that have failed in Cleveland as well. But this was Zach Jackson with us yesterday. This was him talking about Malik Willis and the possibility of the Browns bringing him in. You get into Malik Willis. I saw Jordan Schultz are out there the other day, and I don't know if this is going to be true, but they're thinking it's going to be $30 million a year. Can you see Cleveland giving Malik Willis $30 million a year?
I can. And let me be clear that I'm not saying that anyone in the Browns organization has told me that he's first on their priority list or third or anything like that. But I think when you look at it, Zach, I think there's only a small handful of teams that are ultimately going to be in on him. You have some teams already pivoting to the future. You have some teams that already have guys that they're going to develop. So we don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do. I know people name Atlanta as kind of a surprise suitor. If Arizona moves on from Kyler, which seems likely, are they involved there? So I think, the Browns are going to have a seat at the table. They can certainly backload the contract. That's what they do. And Malik Willis is, he's only 2 years older than the guys that they'd be looking at in this draft. He's played not much, right? 6 starts and 3 in the last 2 years, but he's played well. He's clearly progressed. And the Browns at 6 and 24 are not in position to draft a surefire quarterback. So they could make that investment in Malik Willis, backload the contract, and use their 2 first-round picks on tackles, on receivers, on all the things they need to do to give whatever quarterback it is a chance. Because as bad as Shedeur was at the end of last year, nobody had a chance behind what was left of that offensive line and what was in that receiving group.
You know what's crazy when watching that video, Garrett? Did you notice something in that video?
What's that?
Play me the video one
Hold
more
on.
time. And I'm going to keep both of us up if possible.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm throwing a lot on your
Hey,
plate.
give me a second. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. Well, Omaha.
Omaha.
Check. Blue
All right, here we go.
32, Blue 32. Cancel.
All right, let's-
Is there a way to
You get into
both of us
Malik
up?
Willis.
Yeah, here we go.
I saw Jordan Schultz are out there
Right,
the
that's
other
Malik
day.
Willis
I don't
in
know
a
if this is
Packers
gonna be
uniform,
true, but
he's played for the
It's going to be
Packers.
$30 million a year. Can you see Cleveland giving Malik
Just wait.
Willis $30 million a year?
I can. And let me be clear that I'm not saying that anyone in the Browns organization has told me that he's first on their priority list or third or anything like that. But I think when you look at it, Zach, I think there's only a small handful of teams that are ultimately
that's
gonna be
Todd
in
Monken.
on him. You have some teams already pivoting to the future. You have some teams that already have guys that they're going to develop. So we don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do. I know people name Atlanta as kind of a surprise
That's Malik
suitor.
on Green Bay.
If Arizona moves on from Kyler, which seems likely, are they involved there? So I think, the Browns are going to have a seat at the table. They can certainly backload the contract. That's what they do. And Malik Willis is, he's only 2 years older than the guys that they'd be looking at in this draft. He's played.
Stop.
Not
That
much,
right there?
right? Six
Is there a way to
starts and
pause
3
the
in
video?
last-
Boom.
That's Malik Willis in a Dolphins uniform.
I was wondering. I was like, did he play for them?
He has played for the Tennessee Titans, and then he's also played for the Green Bay Packers. Now, it is assumed that John Eric Sullivan, who I call John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, and Jeff Hafley, who are coming over for the Packers regime, are going to pay Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how these videos are made, but I'm assuming Andrew just searched Malik Willis, right?
Definitely did, yes.
Photos. The fact that it's already coming up in Photoshop of Malik Willis with the Miami Dolphins is wild. Is absolutely wild right there. So
Oh
that's
my
what
God.
that's what I noticed. But anyway, let me ask you this.
What's up?
$30 million a year for Malik Willis. If you are Cleveland, would you rather have Shador Sanders this year or Malik Willis, where you're giving him at least probably a 3-year deal for $30 million a year?
I'm taking Shador, and I'm letting Shador ride it. Like to me, there's not much difference in Shador and Malik Willis. I don't think. Like if you give Shador a chance, I don't think there's that much difference in. And what do you lose, right? If it doesn't work, you're going to be where you typically are at the top of the draft with a loaded quarterback class, and we're going to do the same song and dance and add another stripe and name to the jersey that we all see. Like I would ride it out with Shador.
And here's the thing too: there's no risk with Shador.
No.
Like, if Shador doesn't pan out and you bench him, you get backlash from Shador Sanders sycophants.
Yeah.
If you bring in Malik Willis, and Malik Willis is Matt Flynn. Remember Matt Flynn got that big contract for like a game or two with the Packers? He goes to the Seahawks, and then this guy, Russell Wilson, came onto the scene. And I understand there's other situations. The 49ers, they gave up a king's ransom to go get Trey Lance, and then they got Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. But if you're the Browns and you give Malik Willis $30 million a year and he flops after 1 year, why'd you do it in the first place? Option A is keeping Shador or giving Malik Willis option B. If those are the two doors, $30 million a year. I think they're kind of, when you look at it, I viewed Shador as a better player coming out of college than Malik Willis. And I understand that Malik Willis had some success this year when given opportunities with the Packers, but I don't think it's enough for me to say, okay, if the likelihood is that the Browns will take a quarterback next year in the first round, I don't see why you would expedite the plan if you're rushing just to go pay Malik Willis instead of just giving Shador on his second year an opportunity on a rookie year contract. If they go out and get Malik Willis, it tells me two things. Number one, that you had the owner, Jimmy Haslam, make the Shador Sanders pick. Mm-hmm. And then number two, Andrew Berry doesn't think his job is safe if he has to go rush to go pay Malik Willis, who is still a major question mark.
And my thing too, why would you want, if you're the Browns and you're already pinned in this situation with the worst contract we've ever seen with Deshaun Watson, and you have an opportunity where this is a final year coming up to get out of that, why would you go and make a questionable, another questionable move? To me, that is stupid. But that's also the Browns.
Yeah, that's why, as what did Juju Smith-Schuster said, the Browns is the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns is the Browns.
You're not wrong. Now there are he is up at the end of the year, Deshaun. But the way the contract is structured, they're still going to have some money allocated to the salary cap in future years for Deshaun Watson. But that's the worst contract ever.
Yep.
So why? I'm not saying you can't take risks ever again, but when one domino just fell and it didn't fall in the right direction, why would you then go what I think would be an overpay for Malik Willis? And yeah, if he goes and plays well, it's up. That's the next Baker Mayfield. Up. That's the next Sam Darnold. I just think those are anomalies. I don't believe that Malik has really got a fair shot yet to showcase his skill set. But based off what I've seen so far, I'm not giving him $30 million a year. That's just me. Let's get to Zach Jackson. This was him with us yesterday. This is him talking about Shedeur Sanders, but then at the end, he throws in the possibility of the Browns maybe trading for Anthony Richardson. About the relationship with Shedeur and Stefanski, what was the truth there? And what do you think this relationship can be between Shedeur and Todd Monken?
Well, I think most years the Browns are 12-5 on social media and 5-12 on the field, first of all. I think Shedeur and Kevin had a complicated relationship. I think that Kevin would probably say that he never intended to have Shedeur as his fourth quarterback. And I think Kevin would probably say that he regrets not getting him more reps somewhere along the way, because when he started playing in mid-November, he hadn't played at all since August. And in August, he started really well and it finished as a disaster. So the reality was that Shedeur was the most famous fourth-string quarterback that there's ever been for last August and in July. And he showed some good things and he showed some bad things. He was not ready to play, and then he had to play because that's how a Browns season goes, right? 12th time since 99 that at least 3 starting quarterbacks had to play, and 3rd time in a year. So I think too much was made of Shedeur throwing to ball boys and stuff like that in training camp. There weren't enough receivers some days, healthy and on the field, for 4 quarterbacks. It was a situation they kind of made up on the fly and didn't really have a clear plan for. It emerged with Shedeur starting the last 7 games, and in all but one of those games having some moments, a quarter, a drive, a throw, in some cases 3 good quarters. So, no one is surprised that Kevin Stefanski's out. I think people are surprised on some level that the GM got to stay. But Shedeur is here. He's first in line. He's interesting. He's still famous. And I think he's going to get a chance on some level, but there is no guarantee. And I can tell you whatever it is, it's not going to be just a Shedeur versus Watson competition. They're going to add to it, and they might be trading for Anthony Richardson to add to that immediately, as in 2 weeks from now.
All right, Garrett Ross, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I think I know how I'm going to do my rankings. I want your rankings.
Okay.
To be the Browns starting quarterback for week 1, if you were the GM, how would you rank the quarterback you'd most want to start to the quarterback you'd least want to start between these 4 options that we're discussing?
Okay.
Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Malik Willis, knowing you're going to give him at least $30 million a year, or Anthony Richardson?
Oh, I'm going Shedeur. Oh, man. I'm going Shedeur, Anthony Richardson, Malik, and then Deshaun Watson.
Okay. I think I have the same list because this is the way I would look at it. Shedeur would be 1. Mm-hmm. He's on the roster. Was he great last year? No. Was he horrible? No. Does he need to get rid of the football earlier? Yes. But I used the 5th-round pick on him.
Yep.
And I think the locker room believes in him.
Yeah.
At least I know Myles Garrett believes in him. So I'd put Shedeur 1 with the idea if he doesn't play well this year, then I go in and I draft a quarterback in the 1st round next year. Then, if it's not Shedeur, I would say it's Anthony Richardson 2. Even though I don't believe in Anthony Richardson.
Right.
He's young. He's going to cost you nothing to basically go get. It's going to be anywhere between a 4th to a 7th round pick to go trade for Anthony Richardson. And maybe he could turn his career around. I've never seen Anthony Richardson be that dude. You've seen minimal success at Florida. You barely saw anything with him in the Colts. I remember he beat the Patriots once in a game when the Patriots were terrible. But it's like this guy has not been able to have sustained success anywhere, but he's still young. He's still raw. And it's a very minimal risk where just like Shedeur, if he doesn't work, then you just flip the page, boom, you draft a quarterback in the top 5 next year. The reason I would go Malik Willis 3, and you're going to say, well, Zach, you're talking about minimal risk for the first two. Malik Willis is more of a risk because it's probably a 3 or 4 year contract at $30 million a year, is you can't give Deshaun Watson another opportunity.
Yep.
Like, what happens? This would be the most Cleveland Browns thing ever. Deshaun Watson, it's been a complete and utter shit show in Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson gets on the field and he plays well, and let's say, I don't think this would happen, but let's say the Browns are entering the final week of the season in contention for a final wild card spot. And whether they get in or don't get in the final game, they don't lose it because of Deshaun Watson, or maybe they win it because of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson goes into the offseason where it would be 1 year of competent football since 2020, because you're right, for 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, whether it was suspension or injury or just bad football, the guy has not been reliable and he's been a bad quarterback. Could you imagine Watson crushes it this year, and then the Browns have to pay him again? Like, that would be the nightmare scenario, because I'll tell you how it goes. If Watson deserves another contract, or maybe it's just like, hey, you got to go pay him, 1 year at a ridiculous salary or 2 years for whatever it is, he's going to fail. The guy is damaged goods. He's not a good dude. And also, we haven't seen him at an elite level or close to an elite level since 2020. It seems like that would be another Geno Smith story, where he could have a year or two of success, and then after that, bleep's going to hit the fan. So I don't even want to risk the situation if I'm Cleveland, where Deshaun happens to play okay. Because if he just plays okay, who knows how that will get spun. I would much rather give $30 million a year, even though the Browns just gave a crazy contract to Deshaun Watson. I would much rather give $30 million a year to Malik Willis than consider playing Deshaun Watson this year. So that's how I would rank it. I'm with you, Garrett. Shedeur 1, Anthony Richardson 2. Then I would go Malik Willis 3, and then Deshaun Watson 4. But man, wouldn't that be nightmare scenario for the Cleveland Browns if and the final year of Deshaun, he finally does something promising, and then you have to run the risk of having to pay him. Oh my God. That would just be a complete and utter nightmare. And you know what, Garrett? Wouldn't that kind of be Cleveland? Like you have the out, and then boom, he plays well, maybe leads you to the playoffs, and then you got to pay this guy again.
Yes.
Oh,
dude, I would not be surprised if that happened. Like, that's the worst case scenario. But that would be the most Browns thing ever for that to happen. And I don't see any reason or any logical explanation of how you could put Deshaun Watson out there. That has to be a last resort if you're Cleveland, in my mind. Absolute last resort.
I do wonder, though, how likely it is they're going to sign Malik Willis or trade for Anthony Richardson.
It sounds like they're going to have to do something, because like we mentioned, and then having Zach on yesterday, I don't think Dylan Gabriel's going to be there, so you're going to have to add some depth there. You can't just ride it out with Shedeur and Deshaun. So one of them's going to come in there, and it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. It really is.
I don't think they're going to give Malik Willis a $30 million a year contract.
I don't think they should.
Because I just don't think there's going to be that many teams that are interested. Like, maybe Arizona's interested.
Right.
Maybe the Dolphins are interested. And he has familiarity with the Dolphins because of the GM and the coach. If you look at, let's say, Arizona, at least you have on offense Trey McBride, and maybe you believe in Marvin Harrison Jr. And also, if you're Malik Willis, you could go play in a dome for at least 8 games a year with the Cardinals. So I'm just thinking of the teams that could be interested. If it is, and I don't think it's going to be that many, but let's just say it's the Cardinals, the Dolphins, and the Browns. I think I'm deciding between Miami and Arizona before Cleveland, even though Cleveland's defense is great, but offensively, like, Junkins coming off an injury. Who knows what that line's going to look like this year. They don't have great wide receivers. Maybe they could get one in the the draft with them picking, I think, with the 6th overall pick that the Cleveland Browns have.
Yeah.
But I just, like, even if the Browns want him, I still don't know how likely it is that they'll be able to get him.
I don't either. And if I'm like, I think Minnesota might be worth kicking the tires. And if I'm Malik, I would definitely want to go play with Justin Jefferson and them. So that would be another good spot. Like, if I'm Malik and I don't have, like, I would choose Miami, Arizona, or Minnesota before I went to the Jets or I went to Cleveland.
I don't think the Vikings are going to pay Malik Willis.
Probably
though.
not.
I think one of these three guys will be the quarterback of the Vikings this year. Rodgers, Kyler Murray, or maybe not be the starting quarterback, but just be in the room, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
If you bring in Rodgers, he's starting over McCarthy.
Yeah.
If you bring in Kyler Murray, he's starting over McCarthy.
Yes.
If you bring in Anthony Richardson, it's McCarthy and Richardson compete. Show me who's the best.
I'm not sold on that if I'm a Vikings fan. I'd be pissed, real honestly. If you told me that's who you have, McCarthy and Anthony Richardson battling it out, I'm not a fan of that at all.
And it does seem as if the pressure's starting to swing. The pendulum is starting to swing with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah out. And I know O'Connell's a very good coach in this league. But now the general manager's out. He was the scapegoat. And now everyone's going to be looking at Kevin O'Connell. And either you got to make McCarthy work or the next guy you got to bring in got to take him back to the playoffs. Because this is a talented Vikings team where they've still been able to keep Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator, who, if it wasn't for the lawsuit, would be a head coach again in this league. So they have a talented defense. And then offensively, you got arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. I know Jackson Smith-Njigba had this great year. Puka Nacua had this great year. But that would be a big fear. Two things for O'Connell. Number one, the fans start to turn on you.
Yep.
But more importantly, Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Because Justin Jefferson, there's stereotypes about wide receivers. Knowing Justin Jefferson the way that I've gotten to know Justin Jefferson a little bit, he is the complete antithesis of a stereotypical diva wide receiver. With that being said, though, don't think some of that could pop up just because he acts like he's a normal dude and he's a superstar, not with this crazy ego. Justin Jefferson, if he keeps on seeing this crap year in and year out from the quarterback position and his play starts to dip and his number starts to dip, like what we just saw this past year, guess what Justin Jefferson's going to say? I need to go.
Yep.
I need out. And that should be the Minnesota Vikings' biggest fear is Justin Jefferson one day requesting a trade. So if you go back to battle this year with J.J. McCarthy, I think Jefferson will support McCarthy. But if it doesn't work and J.J. McCarthy's a failure after this year, I think Justin Jefferson's going to force his way out because he's going to sit there and say, guys, we had in this building Sam Darnold. We had in this building Daniel Jones. Sam has had success with the Seahawks. Daniel Jones had some success with the Colts. You could have, for the last two off seasons, got maybe Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, and you guys just stuck with McCarthy. I don't believe in you anymore. And that should be a great fear of the Minnesota Vikings, is one day having their great wide receiver who does everything right, is all about the team, always says the right thing, saying, hey guys, I'm out. I'm gone. Bye-bye. I'm leaving. You can't mess that up. And that's why there's a tremendous amount of pressure this offseason on Kevin O'Connell to either get J.J. McCarthy right or get a much better quarterback in the room so you don't eventually lose mentally and then also eventually physically Justin Jefferson. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back after these short messages.
The 4-burner, side sear burner with Clearview glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills. Made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area, with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very discreet.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
This is a putrid NFL draft class. This is not one that I look at, and outside of Fernando Mendoza, I really do believe in any of these quarterbacks. It does look like, at least from the way that the combine has played out this week, that it appears that Ty Simpson is going to be quarterback 2. I thought that going in after a few days at the combine, and obviously there's more work for the quarterbacks to do. I don't think there's going to be another name that does emerge, whether it's Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, Taylor Green, Sawyer Robertson, Miller Moss. You could go down the list, Cole Payton, Diego Pavia. It's clear that there will be one quarterback that goes in the first round without a doubt. That's Fernando Mendoza. And then probably Ty Simpson will also go in the first round as well. Could the Jets, with their second first-round pick, take him? I think it's possible. Could the Browns, with their second first-round pick, take him? I guess it's possible. The Rams, the Steelers, I think those are two teams to watch, especially if he continues to fall. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. But those are really only the 4 teams that I could see taking Ty Simpson. And I just want to make sure that I didn't miss any. But if I go by the draft order in the first round, where Ty Simpson could go, he's not going to the Raiders 1, not going to the Jets 2, not going to the Cardinals 3, not going to Tennessee 4, not going to the Giants 5, not going to the Browns 6, not going to the Commanders 7, not going to the Saints 8, not going to the Chiefs 9, not going to the Bengals 10, Miami at 11. I don't see it. Now, if they swing and miss on Malik Willis, maybe, but I don't see it. Cowboys, no, at 12. Could he go 13 to the Rams, and that's your heir apparent for Matthew Stafford? Yes. That's the earliest. Ravens, no. Bucks, no. Jets at 16, yes. Lions at 17, no. Oh, here's what I didn't think of. I don't think they'll do it, but I think Minnesota's a possibility at 18. I don't think they'll do it, but I think it's a possibility. 19, Panthers, no. Cowboys, 20, no. Steelers, 21, yes. Chargers, 22, no. Eagles, 23, no. Browns, if he's still available, at 24, yes. Bears, 25, no. Bills at 26, no. Niners at 27, no. Texans at 28. I don't think they're moving off of C.J. Stroud. They're just not going to pay him yet this offseason. Rams at 29, definitely a possibility. Broncos, no. Patriots, no. Seahawks, no. So the Rams with 2 of their first-round picks, possibility. The Browns with their second first-round pick, a possibility. The Steelers, yes. The Rams, yes. And then maybe Minnesota. That's what you're looking at. And then I think I said maybe the Jets with their second first-round pick. But let's hear from our pal Jake Asman, who joined us, I think, last week, and does a great job with the Jake Asman Show. And he's at the Combine in Indianapolis, and he's a crazy Jet fan. Jake put it on the recruiting pitch for Ty Simpson. Give it a watch.
Hey, Ty, what was the Jet meeting like for you?
It was cool. It was really cool. I got to talk to Frank Wright and Coach Glenn and those guys. We just got to work ball, and they're the best. So if I had the opportunity to play for them, it would be awesome.
There's a ton of Jet fans who are huge fans of yours. What's your message to the Jet fans in New York?
Jets, Jets.
Garrett, is that a guy that is just trying to become the 16th overall pick of the draft? When he's saying Jets, Jets, like what happens at the Dolphins draft? You had 11. I don't think they're going to. Yeah. But, geez, that would be a bad look inside the division. You don't know how that's going to age.
You don't, but I also think like you're probably hearing some stuff, and maybe the most interaction or the most well-received you have gotten was the message you got from the Jets. Maybe you're kind of leaning that way a little bit. I wouldn't do that. I would just say like, hey, I would love to go and represent the Jets in New York and be a part of something, but I wouldn't just like go out like JETS.
I would say I had a good meeting with them.
Right.
I would not call their staff the best.
No.
Like Muji, maybe he could turn into that. Aaron Glenn, how about we not fall asleep at the combine? We'll get into that video later, and we will break that down like no show does. Aaron Glenn, was he catching a few Z's at the combine yesterday? We'll get into all of that. But the Jets have been a laughingstock of an organization. And here's the thing. These guys are afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yes.
And then sometimes you're overzealous. And he was clearly overzealous there. Where Fernando Mendoza, he is the most media-savvy trained quarterback I've ever seen. But he did slip today. We don't have this clip, but I saw this online. Him. Have you seen this?
I have not. What did he do?
It wasn't like he slipped as if it's going to hurt him.
Right.
Because it's not. It's like it's a very small pimple on a large tuchus with what he had to say. But he was getting interviewed by Aditi Kinkumbwala, I think her name is, from CBS Sports. And she does a great job. You know, she used to work for the NFL Network. Now she works for CBS Sports. And she was like, what was like the worst, like the weirdest question that you got asked? And he goes, I got asked, can I get arrested so I fall in the draft? And then she goes, well, can you tell me the team that said that? And then he goes, well, like he was kind of stuttering and getting a little bit nervous. Yeah. He goes, it wasn't one of the teams that I had like an official meeting with, and it was in passing because he kind of panicked because he got out of character. Where when you listen to Fernando Mendoza,
it's calculated.
Right away. I like to thank God. I like to thank my Lord and Savior. It's all about the team. It's all about the team. Team. I could do his press conference. Like, my voice is not the most baritone voice in the world, but if I had a higher pitch voice, if I went and did some helium out of the balloon, I would sound like Fernando Mendoza. Man, I should get a balloon.
You should try. Oh, we're going to do this.
I should get a loon before the draft. And just be like, I like to thank my Lord and Savior. It's all about the team. It's the greatest team ever. Kurt Cignetti, Indiana football. Hoosiers. That's pretty much what Fernando Mendoza does in any interview. So Ty Simpson is putting the recruiting pitch on the Jets. Now, I just went through where he could potentially go in the draft. I really, like, maybe 13 with the Rams, maybe 11 Dolphins. I don't think it's going to be that early. I think the earliest one is going to be the Jets at 16. That video, I don't know how much it's going to change the perception of the Jet fan. I'm sure Jet fans are like, rah, rah, let's go, Ty Simpson, blah, blah, blah. But I tend to believe with the Jets having 3 first-round picks next year, that the Jets are going to take 2 non-quarterbacks with their first-round picks this year at 2 and 16. That's my gut right now. I'm still thinking it's more likely that it's the Steelers or that it's the Rams, where if it's the Steelers, okay, that's your next guy. Maybe he won't play right away, especially if Rodgers comes back. And if it's the Rams, you do have Matthew Stafford, in the building for at least another season. Now let's hear from Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia, talk about a guy that is not media trained. Diego Pavia at the podium talking about how much of a mentor and an influence Johnny Manziel has been.
Me what to look out for, what it's like, how to stay in the process, and he's giving me some good advice for sure. And he always reaches out too, checks up on me, make sure I'm good, and he's just a friend to me, And so he's giving me some mentorship. He's been around me, he's been around my family. He's just a great person for those that really don't know.
So I could understand maybe learning from someone that didn't do things the right way, but I don't know if Johnny Manziel ever really fixed himself. And Diego Pavia is a Walmart Johnny Manziel. And I'm not taking anything away from Diego Pavia. The last 2 years that he had at Vanderbilt were sensational. Like, we were talking about Vanderbilt football. He had a really good season a year ago where they beat Alabama. And then the curtain call for it was a legitimate 10-2 season where it kind of was a little bit rancid that they didn't get more love and more push for the college football playoff. But where with how he handled the Heisman Trophy nonsense and how he looked like a clown there, and then you're saying, like your mentor is Johnny Manziel, and Johnny Manziel was his own worst enemy in the NFL. I don't think Diego Pavia is going to get drafted. First off, he's too small. Secondly, even though he had a lot of success in college, and I was a fan of his in college, I don't think I've ever looked at him. I just think there's some guys that are great college quarterbacks or good college quarterbacks that aren't going to be NFL starting quarterbacks. That's what I look at Diego Pavia. And if he's going to be your backup, you don't want a distraction guy as your backup. Like, how much did we hear that about Shedeur after Shedeur fell out of the first round? Well, it's NFL teams saying Shedeur is going to be a backup at least for last season. You don't want a distraction guy. And I don't think Shedeur Sanders ever did anything crazy. Like, Diego Pavia is a dude that, like, I just don't trust. Shedeur Sanders, I would trust. So if Shedeur fell to the 5th round, I kind of think Diego Pavia is going to get undrafted. Like, could there be a team that takes a flyer on him? Maybe a flyer on him in the 7th round? I guess it's possible. But if you put a gun to my head and you said, Zach Gelb, does Diego Pavia get drafted? Yes or no? I'm going to say no. He had a really good college career. No one's taking anything away from him. I think he's too small. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league. The way he handled the Heisman Trophy presentation was lame. Saying Johnny Manziel is your biggest mentor, I don't think that's a good look. I don't think that's going to change the perception people have of you. And if you're a backup quarterback, people want a backup quarterback that's quiet. People want a backup quarterback that's in the background. And Diego Pavia loves to be the center of attention. So I tend to believe, for a multitude of reasons, that Diego Pavia is not going to get drafted. All right, we should have Brian Mitchell coming up next. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. Let's squeeze in one more break. Micah Ruzioni is going to join us at about 3:35, 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time-ish. We'll wrap up the week, put a bow on the 2026 USA gold medal men's hockey winning hockey team with the man that was the captain in 1980 for the Miracle on Ice. So he'll join us coming up later. But when we come on back, we should be joined by Brian Mitchell, the former All-Pro kick returner, played for Washington, also played for the Eagles, who wrapped up his career with the Giants, and does a talk show in our nation's capital on 106.7 The Fan. We will do a little preview of the Commanders' offseason next.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, come on in.
Thanks. I'm having an issue with Ralph.
With Ralph?
He keeps stealing my lunch.
He's just researching new flavors.
That is slow smoked turkey.
Ralph steals my lunch all the time. You get used to it.
He also peed on my bag.
He is warming up to you. Starting a new job is a big change. I want you to think about how you can be more accommodating to Ralph. We're all co-owners here.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
What does being different mean to me? That is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
But love is passion. Someone you can't live without.
What do you want? What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
You mean athletic? You're looking at it. It's athletic. Ask for it.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Brian Mitchell should be joining us momentarily, the former All-Pro kick returner for Washington, now does a talk show in our nation's capital. The Commanders are fascinating because 2 years ago, they were the darling. They were the Cinderella of the league. They were picking second in the draft, and then boom, they go to an NFC Championship game. Jaden Daniels had the greatest rookie season I've ever seen from a first-year quarterback. And then going into this year, I thought they were going to fall off, but I didn't think they were going to bottom out. I did not think the Commanders were going to make the postseason. I said it when I was on Infinity Sports Network, CBS Sports Radio, doing the daily show there, that I was a big believer early on in the offseason a year ago that the Commanders were going to miss the playoffs. Now, I didn't think it was going to be as ugly as it was. Jaden Daniels gets hurt, and you take a look at that team. They made a big move for Deebo Samuel. Didn't really pan out. That offense just did not look anywhere close to the offense the way that it resembled 2 years ago. So now it's a pivotal year 3 of Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, and Jaden Daniels together, because this is a year where if it doesn't succeed, then there's going to be a change. And the change isn't going to come at the quarterback position. The change isn't going to come at the general manager position. The change is going to come at the head coaching position. And I do wonder in the offseason if there at all were any conversations, like right when the season ended, I should say, on maybe getting rid of Dan Quinn. And I thought Dan Quinn was deserving of a second opportunity. In year 1, they go to the NFC Championship game. In year 2, they didn't play well. So I understand running it back. But if you say to me, Zach, what do you think is going to happen with the Commanders at the end of this season? I'm going to probably say that they don't make the playoffs and that Dan Quinn is going to be out as the head coach of the Commanders. And I look at Peters 2 years ago, he wanted Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, it was a foregone conclusion. Then he said, thanks, but no thanks. He winds up with the Bears a year later. And like when they hired Dan Quinn, it was, okay, he deserves another job, but I never thought there was this great excitement or this great buzz around Dan Quinn. So you look at it and you see Dan Quinn in this situation. Dan Quinn, I believe, is someone that is getting another opportunity here, but I just don't know how well it's going to work. And I do doubt that Dan Quinn is going to get a 4th season because I just don't believe in the success of the Commanders for this year. Now, hold on. I got to do some producing on the fly here, Garrett, because Brian Mitchell is calling me. I think he just needs the link one more time. So I'm going to just quickly go into my email, and I'm going to text it to him on the computer, just so we could try to get this squared away. Hold on one second as I'm trying to just wear a few hats here. Let me text the Brian. You're going to see how I text here, folks. Hey, on the air, I did. Here it is again. He asked me if I sent the link, which I did. So there you go. So we should get Brian Mitchell on in a few minutes. But I'll ask you this, Garrett. You're a fan of the Commanders.
Yep.
Do you believe in the direction of this team?
It's better than it's been in about a decade, even though it fell off last year. I do. I mean, I think anybody who suffered through the Daniel Snyder era is kind of cautiously optimistic that this could work. I don't think last year was all necessarily Dan Quinn's fault. I think he's a good coach. I'm interested to see what this team looks like without Cliff Kingsbury helping with the offense this year. But at the end of the day, I think it's fine. The NFC East not what it once was, where it's just running things like it was in the early 90s. You can still win it if you get the right pieces in place. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved off of him, but I think it's fair to give him another opportunity.
And obviously the Eagles, right, are the standard for now in the division. Now they have their own issues. They're on another offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion. Some people are going to question Jalen Hurts. Who knows if A.J. Brown's going to be there? But even if the Eagles sleepwalk, they still make the wild card round.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys are going to be improved depending on this draft. I'm not telling you the Cowboys are going to be great, but with the offensive talent they have, George Pickens is going to be on a franchise tag. Maybe they get the long-term extension done. You have CeeDee Lamb. You have Dak Prescott. They brought in Quinnen Williams. They'll use another draft pick. on a defensive player in this draft. I like, if you tell me the Cowboys are going to win 9 or 10 games next year, I don't think it's crazy. The Giants, they have Jackson Dart. They have Malik Neighbors. They got some good defensive players. Let's see what they do in the draft. But the Giants bring in John Harbaugh. That's got to mean that they at least get 3 more wins just bringing in Coach John Harbaugh. So I actually think the division is getting better. And yes, the Commanders have the quarterback, but now there's going to be injury questions surrounding the quarterback and a few more things as well. So this is a major year for this Commanders regime. Let's go out to the guest line right now. We'll welcome in Brian Mitchell, obviously the former All-Pro kick returner. And Brian Mitchell is a great show on 106.7 The Fan in our nation's capital. B. Mitch, how you been?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So 2 years ago, the Commanders were this great story from the second pick in the draft to the NFC Championship game. Before this season, I said, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I didn't think they were going to be that bad. Obviously, you didn't know that Jaden Daniels was going to get hurt and miss all those games. Where's the Commanders fan at through the last 2 years?
Well, I believe that a lot of people feel that if Jaden was healthy last year, that they would have won more than 5 games. So they're looking at that aspect, that he'd come back healthy. But we also know there's a lot of work needs to be done on the defense. And then after last night, letting Tyler Biadasz go, you wonder what they're thinking about at that center position. But the ultimate thing for me is I think they need to get another receiver, somebody that's going to be a threat, and which makes Jaden even more dangerous and makes Bill even better. But they got to find a way to get a pass rusher on defense, because you have to have a pass rush in this league today. If you don't have that, you're going to have problems. So that defense has to take a major step. If they can get anywhere close to what they were in the first year in 2024, I think they could do some things this year. I think a lot of people are going to count them out because of what happened last year. But you've been around long enough, Zach. Injuries will derail anybody. Injuries will knock anybody out of contention. But when you're healthy, you have a chance.
So with the 7th overall pick in this draft, the bad season could be a blessing in disguise if you hit on it.
Yes.
I know you don't know what the other 6 teams are going to do outside of Fernando Mendoza going 1 to the Raiders, but do you prefer them with the 7th pick to take a pass rusher, or would you prefer them to maybe go with a wide receiver?
Well, if Bailey, Bain, or one of those guys are there, I think I would love to take one of those guys. But if no one is there, then you can move back, or you get a Cornell or a Tate that could fall into your lap. I think there are a lot of guys that could fall into your lap that can make your team better, but I would rather them go defense. I think also you have that chance of free agency before the draft, where they can go out and fix a lot of problems, answer a lot of questions before the draft. And then when you go into the draft, you can just fill in other positions. If they go heavy on free agency, then they can go offense with the draft pick. If they get some offensive player, get some offensive help, like a receiver or something, then you can really go forward on that defense when it comes to the draft. So, like, the thing I've always learned, people say you got to get younger. I understand you want to have some youth on your team, but you have to have youth and somebody with some experience. And when you could build that thing together, all of a sudden things go a lot better. I go back to 1991. We were not the youngest team, but we had a lot of youthful people on the field. We had a lot of experience. We were able to win football games.
You know, as a talk show host, sometimes you are a therapist. Have you? And I get it. Like, I've talked about this with RG3 before. With what happened in his career, it's low-hanging fruit to say that, oh, now Jaden Daniels is going to be the next RG3. Nah. But how much therapy has there been maybe in our nation's capital after the great rookie season and the injury in year 2?
There's been a ton of it. And the thing for me where I look at injuries, okay, there are those football injuries that happen on a consistent basis, and those are freak injuries. The injury he had with his hamstring was kind of freak. You know, a guy gets sacked, and the way he fell, he strained his hamstring. Going after throwing an interception, running after a guy where you know you're going to try to protect yourself, he hit and he fell wrong. He re-injured an injury there. I don't think anything had. And then you look at the play when he was going to the end zone, they threw him, and his arm just landed a certain way. He could get thrown 12 times like that. That's probably the only time he dislocated his elbow. So I look at a lot of freak accidents. Now, he's going to have to learn to protect himself and understand that your job is not to go out there and show your toughness. I remember Gus Farrar headbutting the stadium. I thought he was absolutely crazy for that. It's not to show how tough you are. It's to be there for your team. And if Jaden is there 16, 17 games, I think the league is going to have problems.
It's funny you mentioned Gus. When I was at CBS Sports Radio, we did a picks competition, and he joined me every Friday to do picks. And I remember I was talking smack with him, and I threw on a helmet and then ran into the wall. And he didn't really love that. But Gus is a good dude. What do you recall about that whole situation? I did not think we were going to have a Gus Farrat reference on this show.
Listen, I've always loved Gus since he got here. You can see he was the better quarterback as soon as they got in the training camp. But in that moment, I was standing next to him when he headbutted the wall. And I'm like, what the hell are you trying to do? He said, I'm trying to show people how tough I am. I'm like, dog, this stadium is 60 to 100,000 tons or more. You are not going to prove how tough you are. You're going to prove how stupid you are. And he stumbled back to the sideline. And we've had some conversations since then. He knew he made a mistake at that point. I don't know what headbutting a concrete building, not very smart.
When you get to Dan Quinn, as that was great, Brian Mitchell here with us on the Zach Gelb Show on 365 Sports. Was there ever a chance that the Commanders, after this past season, were going to move off of Dan Quinn?
I didn't think so. The thing I love about Dan is that when you look at last year, how bad things were, no player quit. The guys were still together. You didn't hear anything about people pointing at each other, saying whose fault it is. That is something that most coaches can't do. And when you find a coach who knows how to keep that organization going, had his coaches and his players all stood on the same side, you understand what's going on. Like for me as a former player, I have been in locker rooms where we are doing everything we're supposed to do. Everything is going right. Then you get in the game and you lose this person, you lose that person. And you have guys playing the game now that didn't expect to play. Your team get messed up. When your chemistry is off, your team is not going to do the same thing. So I understand that. And I just wish I was hoping they gave him another chance, and they've done that. And I think not only Dan, the front office got to hit and help him out too. You got like last year, they got so close in 2024. They went for it last year, which every fan wanted them to do. But they did not hit on a lot of those veteran players they brought in. You bring in the veteran players, a lot of them get hurt. Some of the guys did not live up to what you thought they would, and you don't make it. So now you get back to building this thing because whether you are here or not, you want to build a great foundation for this football team because they need to build this thing for the long haul, not just to try to win 1 year or not.
Is Deebo Samuel definitely a goner?
I don't know. I think it's going to come down to the price. Everything about like certain players, it comes down to the price. This whole thing with the Brandon Ayuk stuff they're talking about, that'll be about price because the things he's been through since he last had that great season, it has me scratching my head a little bit. I would want to know mentally, are you still stable? Are you okay? Are you beyond the injury now? And what man does not fight for all that money he had guaranteed? That has me puzzled big time.
Yeah, I don't trust Brandon Ayuk, but it's going to be fascinating because if there's one team he's going to land with, it's going to be the Commanders because of the relationship with Jaden Daniels. And if Daniels goes to Peters and Quinn and say, hey, I could control him, I want him, I'll be curious if they tell their young quarterback no.
Well, I say this. If he comes here and they make their mind up that we're going to sign him based off of what we think, and it's going to be this amount of money. What if another team doubles that or give you $5 million more than that? Is he going to come here for less? Now, if I could get him on a deal like that, I'll take that. But I'm not trying to sit up here and break the bank for him because the things that have happened, like I said, it has me puzzled. I know how hard it is to succeed in the NFL. I know how hard it is to play in the NFL. And when I'm in a situation and you owe me that amount of money and you tell the league, no, I don't, the NFLPA, no, don't worry, I don't want you to fight for it. That's a little different to me. So I need to understand what's going on there. And if you're upset with them and you wanted to get out of there so bad that you let your money go, you get upset with something going on here, what's going to happen then?
Yeah, it's also never good when you see a video of someone and I just think it's AI, but then it wasn't. When he was driving around with that ice cream cone and it was melting, like I was actually like afraid for him. And you're right, mentally you wonder where he's at.
Yeah, totally. Whenever the mental aspect starts to get questioned, I think a lot of people normally begin to backpedal. Let Michael Jackson moonwalk away from you.
So a year ago, Cliff Kingsbury was the belle of the ball. He's on a fast track to get a head coaching job again. Now he's no longer the offensive coordinator. It's going to be David Blau. What happened behind the scenes with Kingsbury and maybe the Commanders that led to the change?
I just think, when you're offensive coordinator that was a former coach, you want to do things your way, but you're not the head coach. And if you got your head coach wanting you to do something a different way, you got to start trying to make some adjustments. I think they came to a point where they didn't see things eye to eye, and they decided to move on. If you look at how quick things moved and the things that were going on at the end of the year, you kind of felt like this decision was made last year during the end of the season, not the off season. I just think that they saw a point where they wanted Jaden to be under center more. They didn't want him to be having all the playing runs, and Cliff's offense is what his offense is. And all of a sudden now you decide we're going to move on. And now you got David Blau, which I have a lot of people telling me they've always felt he's going to be a good coach. Well, now he's there. We're going to find out.
When you look at the rest of the division, what does your gut tell you on another one of your former teams, the Eagles? Do you think A.J. Brown's going to be there week 1?
I talked to a few people there, and I kind of feel if someone comes in and wants to trade for him, they're going to let him go. Howie is always willing and dealing. He's always listening. If you listen to Sirianni, I think he thinks he's going to be gone. But the ultimate thing is you get to a point where you're always like a person that people are discussing. And a lot of it is not in a positive way. You can still be a great football player. But if you're always bringing us some level of negativity, I think people will move on from it. And the one thing you've seen with how he gets rid of a player and he brings in some other players and they know how to work it. So we'll see.
What did you make of the Giants hiring John Harbaugh? They have Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors coming back, a top 10 pick. Is there life for the Giants? Is there a pulse after the last 10 years of football that we've seen from them?
I'm a John Harbaugh fan. He was my special teams coach in Philadelphia, and he and I worked very well together. And I believe that John will get them in order. I can tell you that. They're going to be a much better franchise with him running things up there. They'll be very defensively sound. And if he can get Jackson Dart to stop thinking he's a battering ram, I think that kid has some moxie with him. He has something with him, but he got to learn. You're not that tough, dude. In the NFL, you keep trying to go run over defensive players, you end up like Robert Griffin III. You end up at home real quick.
For you, Adam Vinatieri just got into the Hall of Fame. Devin Hester a few years ago got in the Hall of Fame. Does it give you some hope that maybe someday you'll get that call to Canton?
Yeah, I to be honest with you, Zach, I try my best not to overly think about it. But I've heard people say, Devin even said it, hell, he didn't break, he broke my records. So how is it that you could break somebody's record and nobody give him a chance? A lot of people play football. I'm sitting behind Jerry Rice. I believe I have the credentials to do it, but still, it's going to come down to who decides to vote for me to go in or not. And, sometimes people have to wait. Roger Craig should have been in the damn Hall of Fame. Why did it take this long? Bill Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame. Who decided he wasn't supposed to be there? Weirdness. We got to get something corrected by that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The process this year, whatever excuses that they make, I don't understand.
I got another word for that process, but I'll tell it to you later.
Yeah. One last thing. I told you that you sometimes have to be a therapist in this job. My producer, Garrett Ross. Garrett, you can pop up on camera. He's a huge fan of yours. He's also a huge fan of the Commanders.
Oh, cool.
I asked him earlier, and I said, hey, what do you think of the direction of the team? He's like, at least Dan Snyder's not there, but I don't know. Talk him off the ledge, please.
Hey, Garrett, listen, man. I'll be honest with you. It looks crazy, but you're right. Dan is not here. But I think that they're going to probably do the right thing. They saw, listen, last year, it was like you thought you were rolling the dice, and you came up with snake eyes. That's all it was. You know what? You can roll the dice and come up with 7-11, baby. And I just believe that I think Adam Peters has, when he comes from, he was in the Patriots organization. He was up in Denver. He was there with San Francisco. Those franchises work very well. I believe he's going to do the same thing. And I believe Dan Quinn is a guy that's going to keep everybody together. I'm expecting better things this year. I'm not going to sit up here and act like they're going to go back to the NFC Championship game, but it's going to be a complete turnaround from what they did last year. And then they're going to continue moving and ascending.
Yeah, that's like lying.
I appreciate that, Brian. I appreciate that.
That's like lying to a kid on Christmas, telling him you're going to give him some great gifts.
And if that doesn't work, I'm coming back.
B. Mitch, always great to see you. Appreciate you jumping on board.
All right, Zach, no problem, man. Take care of yourself.
You got it. You too. There he is, Brian Mitchell, guy that should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, joining us right here on 365 Sports. All righty. So, Garrett, you feel a little bit better about that after getting a pep talk from B. Mitchell a bit?
I'm still hesitant. I think he was just trying to make me feel better. I think we both kind of understand the situation and the circumstances, but let's be cautiously optimistic. Let's stay there.
You know what?
What's that?
Because the connection, the video was like a little in and out sometimes.
It was like Washington in general.
I was hoping that as he was about to give you this pep talk, that it just totally crapped and he froze.
I honestly felt like it was coming.
It would have been a sign from God that the Commanders are just not meant to be good.
Dude, like it's numbing at this point. Like I've never really seen them be great when they were I'm born in '85, so I was like 6 when they played in '91 in that Super Bowl. So I've never actually fully experienced a great season under them, and man, it sucks, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. That roster has a lot of holes, and when you go see, like I have this fear with my football team and the Patriots, where defensively they got guys, right? Milton Williams and Christian Gonzalez, but offensively the line was not good. They don't have a number 1 wide receiver. And I look at the Commanders and I say, okay, they overachieved in that first year with Jaden Daniels. The Patriots overachieved this year. What was year number 2 of Drake May?
Right.
I just look at it and I go, hold on. You got to address those needs. Yeah. And the Commanders, they tried, right? They brought in Deebo Samuel, it didn't work. They brought in Laramie Tunsil, didn't work. Some of those older players on defense weren't as good as what they were a year ago. And that Commanders team, they're an old football team. They got to get younger. And that's why I look at my team this offseason with Elliott Wolf. I'm like, go trade for A.J. Brown. Go solidify the offense line. If you're not moving Campbell, maybe you move Wilson from guard to center and you bring in a better left guard that could, if you get better production there, maybe it could also alleviate some pressure off of Will Campbell, even though it's the outside in such a pressurized position. But like the Pats, I was very satisfied with this season, even though it was a bitter ending. But I look at the Commanders and I say, hey, you got to make sure that you cover up those holes correctly, or it could go south real quickly.
No, I really couldn't. And he brought up a good point with Biotish gone. Like, how do you address that? What's your philosophy there? And that's my biggest issue with them is they always, when they go and address people in free agency, it feels like they tend to get older people in there. And I don't understand why that philosophy works. I've never understood it. I would like to see them get more youthful because that, like, especially competing with like all the youth the Giants have on offense. Like, you're going to have to be able to counter that on defense. And the way they're constructed right now, I don't think they can.
How would you rank the teams in the division right now before the offseason starts? 1, 2, 3, and 4. How would you rank them?
I would probably put Philly 1, Dallas, Dallas 2, New York, and then Washington.
I have the same rankings as you.
That's what I would put.
I thought you were going to go Washington 3 and the Giants 4.
No.
Because it does appear right now that the Commanders, it's either Daniels or nothing.
Bust, yeah.
You look at the Eagles, they could get rid of A.J. Brown and still win 11 or 12 games. You look at the Cowboys, with the pieces they have on offense, they got to be better on defense. They brought over, Chris Park, I think his name is, from the Eagles. They bring him over, as the new defensive coordinator, and you get Matt Eberflus is out. So you would think that with how bad that Eberflus was last year, that it can't get any worse under the new defensive coordinator. And then you look at the Giants, they are a team with the Giants that their defense, I don't think, was as bad as they played last year.
Right.
I think they had the wrong defensive coordinator in Shane Bowen. I know they got fired, and they'll probably get a trade Kayvon Thibodeau. But you got Dexter Lawrence. You got Brian Burns. You got some, Abdul Carter. You got some pieces there. And then on offense, I don't think Dart is great, but Dart showed you some moxie this year. Dart showed you leadership and toughness. He has some characteristics that you like with the quarterback. And Brian Mitchell's right. He's got to now protect himself. But you got Malik Neighbors. You have another pick in the draft at number 5, the Giants are. So you're going to get either – I don't think they're going to take a pass rusher.
No.
So could you go offensive lineman? I guess it's possible. I would probably lean that they go wide receiver. I don't think they're drafting Jeremiah Love. I've seen that's been floated out there as much as I'm a Jeremiah Love stan, as Garrett Ross said yesterday, that I was a stan of Garrett Ross. How old are you, by the way?
I am 41.
I'm surprised how up on the lingo that you are.
I stay very into it.
Like when you sent me that video and you're like, Zach Gelb is a Jeremiah Love stan, I was a little bit surprised that you knew what the word stan was.
I'm not your typical 41-year-old white dude. I'll just put it like that.
You got a young soul.
I got a young soul.
Got a young soul. Old man, young soul.
Old man, young soul.
What was it? Was it Benjamin Button? Oh, no, that would be the reverse, because Benjamin Button was a young guy that just looked old. You're the reverse Benjamin Button, where you are a little bit older. I want to make it like you're a decrepit old man that needs a diaper. But you have a younger heart, let's just say.
Yeah, I tend to lean younger.
But you look at Dart with the Giants. That's a team that I'm not ready to say they have arrived or they've returned. There's a lot of work to do.
They got a lot of potential.
But they got some potential. And then I look at the Commanders. If Daniels plays, even if Daniels plays a full season, 9 wins?
Maybe.
Because they didn't even go through, they just bottomed out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was going to be a regression, a slight regression from where they were a year ago. They went from the penthouse to the outhouse. That's what they did.
Yes.
You know what? They got an upgrade to first class. And then after flying first class, they got used to first class. And it was, when the next time I get on the plane, you're thinking you're getting that upgrade again. And then you're in the back row of the plane next to the toilet where you got 2 fatzos just running to the toilet all the time. And they're blowing up the toilet and it's not smelling good next to you.
Looking at their schedule, it's brutal this year.
Oh, give me the opponents.
So
obviously the NFC East.
Right. You got the NFC East. You open up at Arizona. That's one that you can win. You go to Jacksonville. That's one maybe you can win.
Wait, hold on. So just the opponents yet. We don't know the order, but so they have Arizona on the schedule.
They go to Arizona, to Jacksonville.
Okay.
I think those are 2 that you need to get those 2.
Okay.
You're going to San Francisco. That's going to be a loss.
Probably.
You're going to Tennessee. That one you should be able to win.
Yeah.
You host the Rams, you're not winning. You host the Seahawks, that's going to be tough. I don't see that. Versus Houston, maybe depending if that's late in the year and the weather's right, CJ Carr gets caught slipping. You face Indianapolis. That's one I think you can get. At Minnesota, that's a toss-up.
I think you'll get one of Indianapolis or Minnesota.
Right. And then you got Cincinnati and Atlanta. Now, I think that's probably
you could win one of those games.
Yeah, I'm thinking you have a better chance of beating Atlanta than you do Cincinnati right now.
Okay.
So we're looking. I don't think they're getting to 9 wins. I don't. I'd give them 7 to 8.
Well, but the ones that you just read off there, and that wasn't with the division.
Right.
I had 5 fingers up. So let me hold on. Let me just make this easier, because hearing you do it. Just in terms of giving me the schedule, it's not the easiest thing in the world. I'm like, wait, that didn't math there. So let me just go through their opponents. They have at Arizona. I think that should be a win.
Yes.
At Dallas, they'll split with Dallas. Let's just say they'll get one of the Dallas.
Let's hope.
At Jacksonville, I'll be optimistic here. Let's say they get a win.
Okay.
They have 2 games with the Giants. They'll split with the Giants. They have 2 games with the Eagles. Let's say they lose both to the Eagles.
Okay.
At San Francisco, probably a loss. At Tennessee, a win.
Yeah.
We already did the division. The Rams, if it's a 1 p.m. Eastern time game and it's bad weather, maybe they have a chance. If not, they're screwed. Seahawks, probably not likely. Let's say they split either the Texans and the Colts. Let's say they get one of those. That's 6. Then let's say even if they win 2 out of 3 against the Vikings, Bengals, and Falcons, that only gets them to 8 wins.
Yeah, you're back.
You guys are going to be a 7-win football
team.
Yeah,
easily. That's what you're used to.
Put it this way.
Used to.
If Daniels this year gets that team to the playoffs,
oh, geez,
it actually may be more impressive than them getting to the NFC Championship game in the first season. I know people are going to say, oh, that's a hot take. That's blasphemy. But you could have 1 year where you go on this magical run.
Yeah.
The fact that they bottomed out and then he could get this team off the mat and let's just say, like, we're looking at it, you're saying 7 or 8 wins, I'm saying 7 or 8, if everything goes right, like I was being generous there, I was being benevolent. If he could find a way to get that team to 10 or 11 wins this year, that kid is the real deal and then some.
He would be in the MVP conversation.
All right, do this for me. 6 quarterbacks, 2024 first-round draft class. You had Caleb Williams.
Right.
You had Jaden Daniels. Yep. You had Drake May. You had Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., and J.J. McCarthy. Those are the 6 quarterbacks in that first round.
Right.
If we're drafting tomorrow, how are we drafting?
Oh, God. Say the order again.
Well, just the 6 quarterbacks.
Okay.
May, Williams, Caleb Williams,
okay.
Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy. Let me do it to you this way.
All right, I'm taking Jaden Daniels first.
You're still taking Daniels first?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably
Caleb or Drake?
I would probably take Drake May. No, wait. I would take Caleb Williams second. Drake May third. Who are the other ones?
Nix, Penix, McCarthy.
Nix, in that order. Nix, Penix, and McCarthy. Yeah.
I would go Drake May 1. I would then say Caleb.
See?
Oh, boy. I do want to say Caleb 2. But Caleb's first year wasn't anything special. Then he gets the right coaching, and it was special.
Right.
Jaden Daniels, first year, NFC Championship game. Second year, he got hurt. You know what? This is it's really a conversation. May, Williams, Daniels, how do you rank them?
Correct. That's where it's at.
May finished second in the MVP. May took an offense that doesn't have many pieces on it to the Super Bowl this year. I'm still going May 1. I then would say slightly Jaden Daniels 2, Caleb 3. That's how I would go. And I think you could swap 2 or 3. I do. Then after that, Bo Nix would be 4.
Yep.
Pray. I guess you go Michael Penix 5 and JJ 6.
I was never sold on JJ McCarthy. I did not think he would be a good NFL quarterback. I thought he was too small. I thought he was good at Michigan, but I didn't think it was him that necessarily won them games or that national championship by any means.
For me, it was all about the fit. Like if he got drafted by the Pats or the Giants, I said this at the time. I was on a TV station here in SNY saying it. I just remember the clip. I said if he gets drafted by the Giants or the Patriots, it's going to be a disaster. But then I said if he gets drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, in that environment with KOC and Justin Jefferson, I do think he could be good. But obviously through the first 2 years, I can't sit here and defend those takes. I can't whatsoever. All right, I know we got to get to Mike Ruzioni in a bit. Let's get to Aaron Glenn. We'll keep this thing moving. Do you think we're going to evaluate this? I need you people to watch. Do you think Aaron Glenn fell asleep at the combine? Here's the video.
Jeremiah's top 50 prospects as Aaron Glenn looks on for the Jets. Fernando Mendoza 1. Jeremiah Love, who we'll also see on Saturday here on NFL Network, the running back from Notre Dame 2.
Did he fall asleep, Garrett Ross?
He absolutely fell asleep. And he caught himself, too. That's why he was looking. He's like, what happened? Anybody see me nod off?
Like, I don't think he was about to be full out snoring. But the combine's very monotonous. You're there for a long time. It's a horrible look because A, you're the head coach, and B, you're the head coach of the Jets, and you were a disaster last year. And you're talking about your superpowers is calling plays a day earlier, and then you fall asleep at the combine. He definitely dozed off.
Oh, he definitely did.
And quite frankly, if I was there watching all these 40s, I would probably doze off too. But the camera's getting him as he's dozing off. It's the same old Jets. There's no doubt about that. Here is Louis Riddick on ESPN. This is he was on Get Up earlier. This is about the future of A.J. Brown.
Almost exactly the same things I've been thinking. What is your sense of A.J. Brown and what needs to happen here?
Look, they just need to. It just seems like they need to go their separate ways here. Look, there's just too much smoke around this situation all the time. It just seems like, AJ is constantly feeling as though maybe he's not being utilized properly. He just seems like someone who would be much happier with a different offensive system, with a different quarterback in a different environment. Philadelphia, then, look, I know that no team is in the business of giving up, high-profile players, highly productive players, highly explosive players that can change games around, in a moment's notice. And that's what A.J. Brown is. But at some point in time, you have to kind of balance collecting talent and building teams. If you're going to talk about culture and talk about, having a building that's healthy and having a building that is all just kind of rowing in the same direction, pulling in the same direction, and everyone has a similar mindset, then sometimes you have to act upon that and you have to make tough decisions. And this is kind of like one of those situations where I feel like that's where basically it needs to go. Now, I may be wrong. He may be on the football team in 2026. They may say, hey, look, we're not going to give, fair value for this young man on the trade market. So we're going to keep him here regardless of how it looks from the outside.
I think he's getting traded. I think there's too much smoke. I don't really believe Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni. I think they're saying right now we're not just going to give him away, but you got to up your offer. And I still look at New England and Buffalo. One of those teams should give up a first-round pick. Did you see, Garrett, by the way, that these NFLPA report cards got released of the players ranking the teams where I read something 2 weeks ago that this was not going to get released, and the NFL filed a grievance against it, and they won, but still somehow ESPN got these report card grades last night. How about that?
I'm not surprised. Like, I understand why they would not want it out there. Like, it comes with a lot of backlash, but at the same time, anytime you have anything like this, especially now, it's going to get leaked.
Yeah,
it is.
I usually don't care for these rankings. I really didn't care about the grading the last 2 years, but now since you tell them they can't release it and they do release it, I am intrigued. So looking at the rankings, it's coach, owner, food, travel, weight room, and then treatment of family. In the coach, here were guys that got a C or worse. Kevin Stefanski was ranked the worst. That's the coach of Cleveland last year. Now the Falcons, he was a C minus. I think those players just were out on Stefanski, and time ran its course there. But I do think the guy's a good coach. He's won 2 Coach of the Year awards in Cleveland. Then Pete Carroll was a C+, which was surprising because Pete Carroll is perceived to be like that older players coach.
Right.
How about this? Jim Harbaugh was a C+. That's probably the most surprising one of the C's. Like, Brian Daboll was a C. He got fired. I'm actually the most surprised that Jim Harbaugh, who's got it better than us? Nobody, was a C+. Now, owner. The Cardinals owner, Bidwell, an F.
Yeah.
Let's see. D+, the Brown family in Cincinnati. C+, the Hunt family in Kansas City. And
look at the bottom. Look at that bottom, though, Zach.
Let me see. Scrolling. D-, the Steelers?
No. A+ for Washington. Do you know what that does for me?
Oh my God,
dude. I've never in my life thought I would see this.
Now, the Rooney family being a D-, I'm a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah, that's rough.
Tampa Bay, the Glazer family, they seem like good owners. They're a D. Wow. Oh, my God. The Commanders are an A+ for a coach and an owner? And then for food, you guys are an A-.
And I've always heard it was terrible with the food. I've never been. I've drove to the stadium and got a tour of it, but I've never actually been to a game.
It's the worst stadium I've ever
heard.
Been to.
It's shithole.
The weight room is a B-, and the treatment of the weight room is an A. The travel's a B-, and then the treatment of family is B+. Now, the Commanders are still a terrible football team last year, but at least you got the ownership figured out.
Hey, there's something. It's a small win, Zach.
So I would say for coach, I'm most surprised that Jim Harbaugh was a C+. For owner, I'm most surprised, and I know there was some stuff about the Hunt family last year, but I'm most surprised that the Rooney family is a D-. Food. This is most important. Cardinals C-. Oh my God. The Bengals, no surprise there, are an F-. Let's see. The Chiefs are a C+. Well, the Chiefs are getting destroyed here. The Rams a D. Patriots a D. Come on, New England. Coach is an A. Owner's an A+. Oh, no, sorry. In New England, the coach is an A. The owner's a B-. The food's a D+. The F is for travel. The C- is for the weight room. And then the treatment of family was a B in New England. Eey. All right, whatever. We got to the Super Bowl. So who cares? I like, this is why I don't give a shit about this stuff. So we talked about Patriots being a D+ for food. Anyone else that stands out? Tampa Bay also a D+. So I guess they got to fix that food in Tampa. I know we got to get to Ruzioni soon, so I'll go through this quickly. Let's go to travel. Like, do you think the average fan cares outside of coach or owner? Do you think they care about the food, the travel, the weight room, or the treatment of family that these millionaires are bitching about? I don't,
No,
right?
I don't think they give a damn, honestly.
Yeah.
Carolina. It's more about like as long as your experience is good, I think that's all you really care about if you're a fan.
Carolina, D on travel. The Browns, D- on travel. The Chiefs, D- on travel. The Pats, an F on travel. They have their own private plane, too. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Philly, F on travel. Pittsburgh, F on travel. Tampa Bay, F on travel.
So what do you think goes into that? Like, is it just like your plane isn't like, what the hell goes into that?
I would guess that they don't think the seats are big enough. Maybe the food's not good enough on the plane.
First world problems.
Yeah, like, I don't think Garrett Ross and Zach Gelb have much sympathy for people that way.
No.
Weight room. Cardinals, D+. Let's see. Anything else here that stands out? The weight rooms are pretty good. Patriots with the C- on the weight room. Yeah, everything's pretty good in the weight room. And then treatment of family. All right, let's see which organizations really treat these families like crap. Cardinals, D+. Oh, my God. Cincinnati,
Pittsburgh.
some things never change. F-. Yeah, Takia Spikes once told me a story. When he was with the Bengals, he tried to get a new jock strap. They made him trade in the old one.
What?
That was way
what
back.
What are you going to do with it?
And then, clean it and I guess reissue it.
That's
Green Bay, C+. Kansas City, C. Charger, C+. Rams, C+.
I'm blown away by this Pittsburgh line, just straight
Philly,
up across the board,
F.
dude.
F in Pittsburgh.
I don't what the hell? Like, is this why Mike Tomlin chunked the deuce?
Tampa Bay, D. So, you know what? You're right. The Steelers are fascinating. The coach was an A. He's gone. The owner was a D-. The food at least was a B-. The travel was an F. The weight room was a B. And then the treatment of family was an F.
And that's like one of the most prestigious, like, wow.
Gold standard organization.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
That's a little bit surprising right there. Man, I felt like I was getting an eye test on there.
Yeah.
Do we have the poll question results, or do you want to do a Ruzioni, then we'll do the poll question results after?
Let's do a Ruzioni and come back.
All righty, we'll take a timeout here. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. When we return, the captain of the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 USA men's gold hockey winning team, is going to join us 46 years later. We just won gold for the men's and the women. We'll get the reaction of Micah Ruzioni. Rizzo, when the Zach Gelb Show returns after these short messages.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, it's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basic. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking forward to fishing season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transformed by Core Home Fitness.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Metal hockey team, and that, of course, is Mike Eruzione. Rizzo, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, this was awesome, what we just got to see over the weekend. Now, I wasn't alive for 1980, but when I take a look back at my perspective of what transpired over the weekend, I remember 2002, I remember 2010, I remember 2014, even losing to the Canadians in the Four Nations. So it was like, oh, finally they did it. And it was such an emotional rush. But you have a different perspective than me because, right, you're the person or one of the people they think of from 1980. To see them win gold 46 years later, just what did that mean to you?
It was awesome. I mean, I know all the players. I know how hard they worked. I know what it meant to them. I heard over the years, many of them talk about watching the movie Miracle as a kid and dreaming about maybe having the opportunity to represent their country and play in the Olympic Games. And they had it, they won it, and it's great for them. It's time to pass the torch, and they're the new legends now. We're by the wayside.
Well, that's what was so cool. After Jack Hughes scores the game-winning goal, he's doing an interview with Catherine Tappan, and he's talking about the brotherhood of not just this team, but USA Hockey. And when you go through the movie Miracle, when you see the Netflix special that just came out, you hear about the brotherhood that Herb Brooks was really trying to install with you guys 46 years later, to have that connection of the guys in 2026 showing so much respect to 1980. Isn't that what it's just all about?
Yeah, and I think that's a tribute to the type of players that were on that team. A lot of these guys played together in World Junior tournaments and, national teams and things like that. So it's a very close, tight-knit team, and you saw that. And let me add also our women. The women the same way. They were bonded. They were tight-knit, group of players. In the village in the Olympic Games in Milan, the men and women's hockey teams were hanging together. They went to each other's games. So that's the sport of ice hockey, and to see it come to fruition with both teams winning a gold medal was pretty impressive and pretty amazing. And so happy for the ladies and the men.
For you to be there to witness it and to get to speak to the team the night before, just how surreal is it knowing what you guys did 46 years ago, then to see what did transpire 46 years later?
Well, that was fun for me. As I told these players, what we did is what we did. What you do is what you do. What we did is long gone and over. Now it's time for young 7 and 8 year old boys watching the Olympics say, I want to be a hockey player. Or young 6, 7 year old girls saying, I want to play hockey. So the sport is growing. We're getting better. These are the best two teams we've ever put on the ice, the best men's team we've ever had and the best women's team we've ever had. And, both teams had some interesting games. I don't think it's the best the women have ever played, but they found a way to win. And, Connor Hollebuck was absolutely incredible for the United States. And, they found a way to win. And that's a tribute to a great team. And I think we had that.
You scoring the game-winning goal up against the Soviets. We know Rob McClanahan scored the game-winning goal up against Finland. To see Jack Hughes score that game-winning goal, you mentioned Hellebuck, and we know Jim Craig stood on his head. Do you just see the similarities there? I know it's two totally different journeys, two totally different stories, but when you're watching it, do you see some stuff and you go, man, this feels a little bit like 1980?
Well, I think when you saw the celebration, and for us it was a little different too because we were in Lake Placid, so the crowd there was half Canada and half maybe even more Canada than the United States. But in Lake Placid, when we beat not only the Soviets but when we beat Finland, there were 9,000 USA people chanting USA USA. So the atmosphere was probably a little more intense and in Lake Placid than it was in Milan, but the joy from the players was similar.
I got to ask you, how's your hip? How are your legs? I saw you celebrating with the team. They were throwing you up in the air. I respect that, Rizzo.
They were throwing me up in the air like I was a beach ball, but it was fun. You know, again, the players were great. They couldn't have been nicer and more respectful to me and to my teammates in 1980. It's great that they had that opportunity, and now they're back trying to win a gold medal. I mean, trying to win a Stanley Cup.
What do you think Herb Brooks would have said about this group if he was still alive?
He would have said they're damn good. And I think, you know, Herb probably would have said a few words to the team and talked to the team. Herb was a great speaker. But I think he would have been, you know, like our team in 1980, very proud of this team and what they did.
Nothing will ever top 1980. You guys were legends then, and the legend just keeps on growing year through year through year to get together with the guys. And I know you guys are so tight still, truly a team. And do that Netflix special that came out. I was just watching it the other day for like the second or third time. It was so fun to watch. Miracle never gets old. When you get together around those types of things, what is it like to kind of shoot them?
Well, it's fun. And, you know, when we get together, we don't talk about hockey. We don't talk about the Olympics. I mean, the next time we get together, we'll probably talk about this team and, you know, how great it was and how much fun it was to watch them. But when we get together, we talk about golf. We talk about, you know, life in general. And we're all getting a little older. You know, 3 of my teammates have passed, so we just cherish the times we get together, and we do get together now and then.
Wrap it up with Mike Eruzione. I got to bring it up to you because some of the backlash is just ridiculous. A team wins a gold medal, and I'm sitting here and I go, oh, this is such a special moment. And then it just goes a totally different way on the cesspool that is the internet. This is from the Toronto Star. This one really annoyed me. Austin Matthews made his choice, seemingly putting the party and the president ahead of the playoffs. Like, this stuff is just so ridiculous, Rizzo.
You know, I said this. Obviously, I've been on the air a lot talking about that. You know, it's the greatest thing that these guys can achieve. Just embrace it, congratulate them, and move on. Austin Matthews is a great guy and a great leader. He's going to go to Toronto, and he's going to try to win a Stanley Cup. When we went to the White House in 1980, nobody said anything. When I talked to Jimmy Carter on the telephone, nobody criticized us. It's just another group of people just, you know, wanting to find a way to bitch and complain. As I said the other day, just shut up and let the athletes enjoy what they did and what they accomplished. They weren't there to make a political statement. When the president asks you to go to the White House, you go to the White House. He's the president of the United States. Whether you like him or don't like him, you respect the office of the presidency. And I didn't get into the politics with the guys on the team and ask who liked Trump and who didn't like Trump. They went because the president asked them to go, and you respect the president, and they did. So anybody else that's bitching about that, shame on them.
Let me just wrap it up on a good note here with Mike Eruzione. I know it's busy, and I really appreciate you jumping on board with us today. Take me back to 1980. What do you remember right after the game, after you guys beat the Soviets, and then the next game where you guys ended up winning the gold medal?
Well, after they beat the Soviets, I got grabbed by ABC to do interviews. My teammates went to the house where our parents were staying and got to watch the game. So I didn't have, you know, time to really even think or reflect on the game other than how happy I was that we had won, but very well aware that we still had another game to play. And, you know, if we don't beat Finland, you and I aren't having this conversation right now. So that was the biggest game. I mean, the Soviet game was a huge game because of who they were, but the Finland game finished the deal. And I think that was probably the proudest moment of our team, sharing that victory in the locker room.
You know, I always wondered this because it's such an iconic moment, and I wasn't alive to see it. But when you're at the gold medal ceremony and you're on that podium and you have the whole team come on and join you, how did that come about? Like, did you just think of that in the moment? Did you plan it going in, or like how did that all go down?
I'm not that smart. It was just a reaction. You know, my teammates were looking at me and I was looking at them, and you know, where do we go now? And so I just called them all up, and we all fit. I don't know if we're all fit now, but we all fit then. And if you notice now, there's not one podium anymore. There's a long platform, and all the players stand equally, and they should do that. The one player shouldn't be standing while the others stand and watch.
And obviously Herb was so calculated, and it was you guys bonding together with maybe your hatred against him, but that's what he instilled in you guys, right? That meaning of brotherhood and team.
Right. And there was never any hatred towards Herb. There was tremendous respect for Herb. And we trusted Herb. He was hard to play for. He was demanding, but so was Jack Parker when I played at Boston University. That's how coaches coached in the 70s. So you deal with it. And Herb, as challenging as he was, we respected him and we trusted him. And look what the result was.
Your interview with Tirico was great. The way that you continue to be an ambassador for USA Hockey is unbelievable, and it's great to have a new team join the club.
Yeah.
Mike Eruzione, really do appreciate you joining us for a few minutes today.
All right. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Mike Eruzione, Rizzo, kind enough to join us on 365 Sports. What a way to put a bow on the week where it got started with obviously seeing the USA men's hockey team winning gold after the women did as well, and that's been a lot of the conversation. It was cool to have Rob McClanahan to start the week and then Mike Eruzione to end the week, and just loved what he absolutely had to say. All righty, let's get to the poll question and wrap things up today. Who should be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Malik Willis, and Anthony Richardson. Okay, I'm not surprised that Shedeur is at 62%. Shedeur Sanders should be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback. I'm surprised about the rest. I personally would have Anthony Richardson second. Not that I believe in Anthony Richardson, but low risk, high reward. I would then go make the financial commitment to Malik Willis over then playing Deshaun Watson, who he's in the final year of his contract. I want no part, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, and Deshaun Watson, who his last really good season was 2000, and we're sitting here in the year of 2026. So the results here, Shedeur Sanders, 62% in first place. Second place, Deshaun Watson, in at 18%. Then Malik Willis in third place at 11%. And then fourth, Anthony Richardson at 9%. If I was voting, I would go Shedeur 1, I would go Anthony Richardson 2, Malik Willis 3, and then Deshaun Watson in at number 4. All righty, that will do it for another week of the Zach Gelb Show right here on 365 Sports. Big thanks to Andrew Valane. Big thanks to Garrett Ross. Big thanks to Logan, who's now a part of the team. And most importantly, each and every one of you for tuning on in. Also like to thank Brian Mitchell for stopping by, and the captain of the 1980 Miracle on Ice, and Mike Eruzione. Rizzo. All righty. Mike Eruzione. Who do you play for? The United States of America. Great movie scene. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way in real life. Rizzo broke my heart about that about like 15 years ago. Always give me a follow, Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. You could also get me on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. And you could also subscribe. YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. YouTube.com/@365SportsYT. Subscribe. We'll talk to you Monday, everybody, as the Zach Gelb Show is live on 365 Sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time. We will talk to you on Monday. We out. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Peace.